Hey everybody, welcome back to Zulu's Board Game Cafe. Once again, it's me, MC Squared, and today we are doing a Learn to Play video for the brand new DUNE House Secrets board game. Ta-da! DUNE House Secrets, the new one. You probably just recently saw we did an unboxing video for this yesterday, and today we are going to learn how to play it, go through all the basics, check out all the stuff. Now, this is a legacy game and it is a mystery game, so while we're going to do our very best to keep this as spoiler free as possible, there is a very small chance that you may see a little bit of the introductory plot information. So if you don't want to see that, just be aware. The first little bit will just be about setup and getting everything ready, so we should not have too much of an issue with that, but just be aware that that's the thing that might happen. If we do an example of how to read a card, you might see the first little bit of the prologue adventure, and if you are super ready to play this game as a completely unknown experience that you haven't done anything with before, be sure to, I don't want to tell you to not watch it, but be aware that that might happen. So we're going to go ahead and dive on in, and we'll take a look at setup. Alright, so here we have the basics all set up and ready to get started with the game. I'm going to go over all the various components right here, let you know what's what. So the first thing we have set up is the time track. The time track tells us essentially how many rounds the game is going to be and how many encounters there's going to be. This is set up for the prologue adventure, so it's only on a 6. Most of the other adventures look like they start at much higher numbers. They're going to take much longer time. But since this is just set up for the Learn to Play thing, start right there on 6. The other thing that we've got right here is the consequence track. And the consequence track starts on the leftmost side with this token. The consequence track is going to tell us how our characters gain experience, how we level up. And then we've got some of the other stuff we've got down here. We'll go ahead and move down to the bottom. I have 2 characters here. We are set up to essentially play a 2-player game. The 2 characters that we have selected are Daniel Arias, the Atreides soldier, and Javed Dar, the Freeman informant. The cards have some information about the characters and things on them. The important parts for actually getting set up to play are here on the bottom. It tells you the character's skills, which are going to be how they help manipulate and influence the game state, as well as how many tokens you begin with. The tokens are also going to be important for manipulating the results of cards and helping to move the game forward. Daniel starts with 1 weapon token, which is these tokens here. And Javed starts with 1 spice token. Whoops. Which I'm just going to throw on the ground real quick. Fantastic. They also have powers at the very bottom of the characters that help you gain more tokens and interact with others. We also have the 2 non-played characters, which will still play a part in the game. Any character that goes unplayed, based on how many players you're set up for, is going to get flipped over. You'll see their character boards are totally different color. That's because the back is one side, this is the played side. The other side is the advocate side. When they're on the advocate side, they tell you to begin with a number of tokens in the resource pool, and Gora Malik here tells us to begin with 2 water tokens in the resource pool. So we have these, and Aria Chorus tells us to begin with 2 subterfuge tokens in the resource pool. So we have all these. Also, up above the board right here, we have the consequence tokens, which are going to, when we gain experience, the consequence tokens will be revealed to show whether or not it's good consequences or bad consequences. And if you watched the unboxing, what you'll definitely notice is that these tokens are Mandalorian helmets with cat ears. So I'm not going to get over it. I can't. I'm sorry. We also have right here in the middle the thing that's going to determine the actual events, the plot. This is the event deck, the encounter deck. All of the things that are going to happen are defined in here. We haven't started flipping any of those over yet. I will let you know before I do, so if you do not want any of the spoilers, you'll have time to look away. The next thing that you do for setup is you get out one of the mission sheets. The mission sheets are in the deck, or in the box. they tell you your mission goals, what you're going to need to do. They're going to give you where the time track starts, so you can see the 6 right here. That's where we put the 6. There's going to be some special rules in play. You'll reference the various items in the asset deck. This right here, I'm not going to take those out and look at them. This is just what you're going to do and what you'll do. So we would go through that, pull out asset P, asset A, and asset B, as well as the map of Arrakis, because we're going to need to reference the map. And then the encounters we're going to have to do are encounters number 5 and number 8. Those are going to be from this encounter deck right here. The other side of this is a large introductory plot that we're not going to read to you. Keep it spoiler free, let you enjoy it the first time you read it. Also, as part of setup, there is an entire series of videos tied into this game, built into a website, dune.playdetective.online. We're not going to show any of that stuff. It's all really neat looking. I've gone and watched the first one, and it's pretty fascinating. So when you're getting set up to play this, there's going to be a whole interactive thing. This is a very immersive, very storytelling experience. So this is what setup looks like. And next we're going to go ahead and jump into how to actually play. This next part may be where you start to see a little bit of spoiler information, but do my best to avoid it. So, and I'll certainly announce it before I start reading anything, if we're going to need to read it. So keep an eye out for that as we move on. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is actually talk a little bit more about this time track. It has 14 distinct spaces on it, numbered, so 15 distinct spaces actually, 0 to 14. And like we said, each mission starts at a different point. There's 2 more special points on the track. Space number 3 is the deliberation space, which gives everyone an opportunity to actually stop and share information, because different characters are going to get different amounts of information, and if people are playing different characters, you might have knowledge of different events, and certainly everyone as different players is going to have different perspective on what those events mean. And because this is a mystery solving and detective scenario, you're going to want to share all of your information, because people may have gotten different clues over the course of the adventure, so you'll want to stop, share all that information during the deliberation phase before you actually move on to make your final decisions as you go into the encounters of that mission. So that's what this is going to be. And then the final space, way over here on 0, is the status report. That's what indicates that the mission is over, and you're going to actually stop and resolve what has happened over the course of your mission. You're going to check whether or not you met the mission goals and what it means based on what you did or didn't do. Based on what I've surmised through looking at it, is it's not like some previous Legacy games where you move on or don't based on what's happened. Like in Pandemic Legacy, if you fail a mission, you get the opportunity to retry it. In this, whatever happens, happens, and there are consequences that will mean the next time you start a mission, you'll be starting it under different conditions based on what goals you succeeded or didn't succeed at. So that's going to be pretty important, and that's all managed through the time track. So we'll move on to the next component right now. Alright, now we are moving on to the heart of the gameplay for this, which is going to be the encounter cards, the encounter deck. This is the part where there might be a little bit of information that pops out about the actual plot. We're going to try and avoid it, but just be aware that that's about to happen as we move forward. So, let's go. At the start of each encounter, I'm going to draw cards off the encounter deck. Here's the first one. I'm going to read it, but this is a whole lot of information about what we encounter. When we do this, we move the red token on that time track 1 side. This is going to describe a scenario in a very situation, and then on the back of it, there will be some choices that we have, and the choices are going to tell us what encounter we go to next. And this one looks like has a special symbol on it. You'll see down here that this has blue symbol with an X. This means if we want to pursue this action, we're going to have to spend one of our water tokens that was added to our resource pool at the beginning. That means that we're going to lose that resource moving forward and won't get it back unless we come across an encounter that's going to give us more water in the future. So that's going to be one of the decision-making things that you'll have to deal with as you move through these adventures, is how do we spend our resources and what is the right time to use them versus not, to make sure that you're going to achieve the actual mission goals. So that's something to look out for as you do that. Some of the other important symbols that you'll see on cards is this one right here. The little arrow over a card, that just means that when you get to that symbol, you keep flipping cards over, and that told us to come here and look at the back. And since we've gone and looked at the back, that tells us, well, which of these do we do next? We're going to choose one of these and go to the next one. There may be some other instructions that you see on cards. Some of them, you might see the consequence token symbol. If you see that, that means you're going to draw one of those consequence tokens and resolve it based on flipping it up. And it will flip up into one of those two symbols that we saw earlier. If it comes up green, you just discard the consequence token and nothing bad happens. Things are fine, but you maybe didn't learn anything. If it comes up red, you're going to start moving the little green token from the time track. This one right here. You're going to start moving that to the right down this track. And then when you do that, you're going to take all of the consequence tokens, including those that you've already discarded. So if you've already drawn the green ones and tossed them, you're going to bring those back out, shuffle them all together, and put them back out. Now, the consequence tokens are used to signify when your actions have been noticed by the Harkonnen family, and they represent your opportunities to train and gain new skills. So, yes, you can have no consequences when you draw the green token, but you're not learning anything. When that's always a great system, is failure is what leads to experience rather than success. One of the other symbols that you'll see sometimes is there will be a little blue C on a card with a number associated with it. That's going to it's going to look similar to these, because these are the asset cards. It's going to instruct you to take a specific asset. You'll go through this to the assigned letter or number. You'll see the one on the back here is a W. They're all various letters. It'll tell you to go through here, take one of these cards, and these will have you make decisions, gain tokens, gain all sorts of various things to help you on your mission, or hinder you on your mission, as the case may be. And some things will also send you back to that website we talked about before to have you watching and listening and reading more informational stuff about what's going on in the plot. So there's actually way more. There's already a lot of text, as you can see here on the informational cards, which I'll go ahead and cover back up so we're not tempted to read it preemptively. And it's all baked into the website. So there's a whole lot of story going on here that you're going to be going to and from this website to reference and see, and that's really going to be exciting. And as you go through those encounters and resolve what they do, that's going to be more or less all there is to it. As we move down, like we talked about before, on that time track, eventually everyone's going to learn new things because people are going to gain assets and spend tokens. You're working together, so everyone's trying to figure out everything at the same time, and it's all more or less resolved simultaneously. So there does not seem to be any specific turns for characters, and you're all just going to decide as a group what tokens to spend and how you think the information that you've gained needs to be interpreted to achieve your various goals in the right way. And that's more or less all there is to it. We'll go ahead and talk about how to wrap up the end of the game next, and how to determine your various degrees of success failure and what that looks like as you wrap up a mission. So once you've gone through all the encounter cards and you've run out of time for your mission, you're going to go ahead and get to the status report phase, which is that last space on the time track that we looked at earlier. Once you do that, you're going to go back to the website that we've been talking about, the dune.playdetective.online website, and you're going to choose the status report for the mission that you're currently working on. That's going to give you some more information, and it's going to tell you how things resolve and what is gained or lost by your group as part of the resolution. And that is pretty much it. A lot of this is guided inherently by the text on the cards, and so much of it is story driven that it's going to be a lot of player deliberation, a lot of examining information and critical thinking and interpretation of that information as you get it. So those are the things that are honestly more important to the game than the specific mechanics themselves. Most of the mechanical interaction is going to be spending tokens of the various types to gain information based on the cards or to keep your characters alive. And some of the characters, actually there's one thing we didn't talk about as much when we were going over things, is some of your characters have skills. The active characters' skills will come into play when you reveal cards. Is you'll see, oh, hey, if you have a certain skill, for example, the character here, Daniel, has the skills of military expertise, including the use of weapons, explosives, and means of combat. So if a card says, if you have military expertise, that allows you to choose this option on the bottom of a card, might be what one of those says. So that would allow you to choose a certain option, is having those skills. And that's really most of what everything's going to be, is do you have the skills and resources to go the direction you want when you get to those parts of those missions. So that should cover all of the basics without getting too deep into any of the actual specifics or any of the story spoilers, so that you can experience that on your own, which is what I certainly suggest doing if you're a fan of the Dune universe and want to build one of these stories on your own. This is going to be a great way to do it. It's fun, cooperative, it's a good family activity game, or just something to do with your buddies if you like solving mysteries and you all love Dune. Like, I know me and some of my friends do. Well, I'm not the biggest Dune fan. I can go ahead and say that. But certainly the DM of my regular weekly gaming session is. But that's a pointless tangent. The point is, come down, check out Dune House Secrets. You can find it at Zulu's Board Game Cafe. You can check us out at zulusgames.com. If you liked this video and want to see more Learn to Plays, more board game unboxing, please make sure you like and subscribe, because the more folks see it, more it gets interacted with, the more of these I get to make, and I really want to keep bringing cool games to you guys as they come out. If I get access to board games a little bit early, it helps me give that information to you, and I like sharing it. So thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and come check out Dune House Secrets at Zulu's Board Game Cafe. Thanks. Bye.